Daily Devotion with Pastor Balla for May 18th, 2020, from Joshua chapter 3. God divides the waters again. You could say part 2. Joshua had the same problem that Moses once had. Moses had his back against the waters of the Red Sea with Pharaoh in front of him. But God divided the waters of the Red Sea so that Moses and the people of Israel could walk on dry ground. Now Joshua had a similar problem. God called Joshua to go to the promised land, but the Jordan River was in the way. And the river was flowing not like a gentle flowing river, but a fast-moving river with overflowing banks, just like the river right now behind the church at the moment. We get this from Joshua chapter 3, verse 15, the second part, where it says, "Now the Jordan overflows all its banks throughout the time of harvest." You might ask, well, why couldn't God then pick a different time? Couldn't God have picked a time when the river was at its lowest? The answer, no. Why? Because, again, God wants to show that He is in control. He is the one that's going to take care of things. This isn't going to be man's ingenuity. This is going to be God's work. So it's not about the skill of Joshua, but about God's will and God's timing. So God says to Joshua in verse 7, "Today I will begin to exalt you in the sight of all Israel, that they may know that as I was with Moses, so I will be with you." Remember, it's all about God being with us. God made the river. God made the Red Sea. The river and the Red Sea obey the voice of God. While there are many things we cannot control, not so with God, for God controls all things. We need to remember that it is still about God being with us, especially when there are events around us and circumstances that are beyond our control, and we start getting anxious and worried. God is not anxious and worried. Even though they are beyond our control, they are not beyond His control. St. Paul has some similar words for us in Romans chapter 8, verse 28. "And we know that for those who love God, all things work together for good, for those who are called according to His purpose." So it is with Joshua, and so it is with us. So what happens when the people of Israel are ready to cross the river? Let's pick it up with verse 13. "And when the soles of the feet of the priests bearing the ark of the Lord of all the earth, shall rest in the waters of the waters of the Jordan shall be cut off from flowing, and the waters coming down from above shall stand in one heap." Very similar to the Red Sea event. But notice that the ark of the Lord goes first. God leads His people into the promised land. Yes, God uses means like Moses and Joshua, but this time God is going to be very, very obvious. Notice what verse 13 says in a little bit more detail. It describes the ark of the Lord, the Lord of all the earth. Not that the ark was God, but God promised to be there for His people. The ark represents God's presence, and God was leading the people into the promised land. The ark of the Lord leads the people also at other times. But the ark of the Lord is not some sort of good luck charm, but God Himself. So the people of Israel must continue to believe and trust in God. Let's continue with verse 17. "Now the priests bearing the ark of the covenant stood firmly on dry ground in the midst of the Jordan, and all Israel was passing over on dry ground until all the nation finished passing over the Jordan." God had delivered His people to the promised land. Now God will continue to pave the way for the people to inherit the earth. Again, it's all about the people trusting that God will fulfill His promises. Join me again tomorrow as we hear about the monument to remember God's faithfulness. God's peace and many blessings be with you. Thank you for watching, and please share this video with others. If you have enjoyed these daily devotions, please consider making a donation to Peace Lutheran Church, 24024 West Main Street, Plainfield, Illinois, 60544. Thank you again for watching.